10-year-old Jason in the foster home was not understanding why moms wasn't getting off drugs, why moms, and that's where the animosity started with, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm doing the best that I can. So I never really understood as a 10-year-old, what does that mean? Because naturally, your mother should want to take you home. Your mother, you should be with your mother. Or what, your father, you should be with your father. So you start to develop that animosity. Then the leaving continuously creates the abandonment. So then when you get in, then you start to seek relationships where you're being rejected. Then you get into situations where the rejection triggers old thoughts or old things, right? Funny you asked that question because the person I was just talking to the other day, I was in my studio preparing for an interview with Lala. And I knew Lala was coming up the elevator something like 5 minutes. So I had 5 minutes to get off how I felt. And this person, I had checked in with them because I was going to fly them out for my party and I wanted them to celebrate with us, but they hadn't returned their phone call. But I was so present in my mind of the experience I was experiencing with this person because I knew that they had issues with their past relationships and feeling like they would lose independence if they would date me because I had more than them and whatever. When I called them, I was met with all this stuff that they had gone through before. So I was able to hear that I was talking to somebody who was transferring previous relationship stuff. And I had never been rude to this person, but I did let off.
It was a reaction.
5 minutes. And I let off everything I felt about, I let off everything I felt they needed to hear in a way that I would be talking if I was on my podcast. This is something they had never experienced because they were telling me how they thought I was this and this and that. But after I said what I needed to say, what I realized was that I was confronting somebody who had to understand I wasn't going to go through that abandonment experience with them. I wasn't about to deal with PTSD or abandonment because I was trying to create an authentic experience, and they were trying to hold me accountable for everything that they had already gone through
in the past.
And I ain't about to do that.
Because then it'll put you in a.
That's that cycle. It's almost.
Now I'm the savior.
It's the same reason why I've chosen not to have kids up until this point because I know that to compromise my interest to get on planes whenever I want or wake up with however many people I want or do whatever I want to do, I need to know that I'm not going to do that around my kid because that's what my dad did. That's what my mother did. This morning I realized for the first time I don't want a morning show. I don't want to get up
early.
Right. I don't want to get, because
It's fair.
the idea of having, oh my God, Wendy Williams every 10 a.m. Nah, I'm that maybe late night, but not morning. I'm not a morning person, So it's just saying with a kid, like I literally got me 2 dogs last year to see how I feel about 2 dogs, and I love my dogs, and I love the love that they give, and I have the support to make sure that they're still alive right now. So now I'm like, okay, I can deal with some dogs, maybe.
What'd you get?
I got a French. Is it English bulldog? English or French bulldog? I got an English bulldog and a Labradoodle.
The English bulldog, they kind of easy. They lazy.
No, not
real?
not this one. Nah.
Oh wow.
Do that too. And then I had a dog, and 6 months later, I had a girl pregnant.
You have a kid now?
Yeah, she's about to be 2.
Oh wow, okay. And how did it change your life?
Oh yeah, and I'm just listening to everything you said, and I'm just like, it's definitely a sacrifice because I used to get on planes, and now I'm at home.
But see, that's
now I'm at home
see,
being a dad.
I just so Cardi B is my first guest on my show, and we were talking about parenting because I met Cardi before she had culture. I met and before she had wave, and her ambitions were bigger than life. And to watch her not compromise her career for her desire to have a family and manage both and sacrifice a lot for both has been interesting to watch. And then now when you think about it, like my fear of raising a kid is 1, being a failure like my parents. And 2, creating a person who comes into the world that has to coexist with the rest of the world and that gives the same stuff my parents gave me. I don't want them to be traumatized. I don't want them to lack love or stuff like that. And then the other thing is you have to think about your kid before you make a move because it ain't about you no more. And I have to make sure I'm not selfish because in many ways you have to be very selfish when you're building your career. And people will say, oh, don't be. Yeah, you can be Mother Teresa if you want to, but you have to be obsessed with what you're doing and selfish to the extent that all your time and energy is going into that because once you plant that seed and you start watering, you seeing it grow, then the more water you put on it, the more it's going to accelerate the growth. You don't want to keep going until it's where you want it to be, and that's I would think the same with a kid, but I just haven't been there in my life yet.
I have a question, right? So do you have, given everything, right, from your upbringing as a kid to now, and I don't know, but I'm assuming that a lot has been healed. Mm-hmm. Do you have any triggers you think that still linger around?
That's a good question. You know what's crazy? I just talked to Lala and them on my show about a trigger that I just had. I will say that I don't know that a lot has been healed because the way I am, I very much have suppressed a lot of things.
Got it.
I'm a person who's mastered compartmentalization, right? I compartmentalize my relationships. Like you might do business with me, but you may not come to my house. You may come to my house, but you may never do business with me.
Yeah.
You know, I may see you at the club, but that don't mean that we need to have a dinner party. You know, I put everybody in a box until I feel comfortable. Even new employees, when they come in, they know you can't really talk to me a lot right away. I got to fill you out. I got to watch how you move. I got to see if I can trust you. Until you warm up with me or until I'm really warmed up to you, I'm very guarded. So that's one. I'm very, very untrusting, especially with the business I do. Because when you come to my house, everybody signs an NDA. As soon as they come in, my assistant will hit you right. As soon as you get to the top of the stairs, you get an NDA. Intimate or not. And sometimes it's hard to have a person that you want to be intimate with. Hey, talk to Andrew's going to talk to you really quick. I'll be right back. Now, you know I'm going to get water because Andrew about to slap your ass with an NDA. And one guy, he was like, I'm offended. You treat me like I'm one of these hoes. I'm like, see how you acting right now?
That's why. That's exactly the reason.
That's why we need the NDA.
Sign here.
But the other thing is, like, a chef will sign an NDA because you're in my home.
Right.
When I get a call from Cardi B about something else, or Rihanna's here, or this or that, there's a lot going on in my house. We're not sitting around talking about the homies. I'm talking about my homies, but some of my homies their stuff is on, it can end up on the internet. I will never have one of my friends put a story of somebody up. You know, if you call me or Madonna calls me, you should both be able to feel like you have the same level of freedom and that your privacy is going to be protected. And I protect everybody's privacy. I don't tell people's secrets and all that kind of stuff. Unless, it's part of my job,
It's part of my job.
That they tell me that if you tell me a secret, it's because you're telling me because you want it to go out a certain way, and I'm going to help you put it out. I haven't worked through all my trauma. When I watched my brother get his brains blown out, that really fucked my life up. Like, it fucked me up in many ways where it made me emotionless in many ways. I can lose a relationship, and to this day, and this is probably not healthy, but I can end a relationship, and if I'm following you on Instagram, once I unfollow you, after a while, I'll just forget about you. Like, literally, I will forget about anything. You won't even be top of mind. I can have a close relationship with you, but once it comes to an end, I get closure, and then I can be out in public, and we don't even have to have a moment. And I'm okay with that. And the other day at the BMF premiere, I was sitting behind a few people, and I had popcorn. I went to put my popcorn down. When I looked up, the guy on the screen got shot in the head. And I mean, it literally, like, it hit me in a personal way because it took me back to a moment. And it's been a while since I've had a moment where it's reminded me of that incident, but it triggered me. But I was able to cope with it in the real time. But it was a trigger where the memory and the flashback happened. It was kind of weird. And I told all of that on the show. So, yeah, I mean, I think I've compartmentalized a lot and I've suppressed a lot. But I'm also at the same time working on a lot because I have a lot of stuff that I'm working on. So, yeah.
So do you feel like that compartmentalization is your coping mechanism and it keeps you safe?
Well, for years, liquor was. Because, when my brother died, I would get drunk all night. Well, I would work all day, then go out and party all night. It was just partying. It wasn't getting drunk. Partying all night, and then come home and crash. Then you wake up, you work all day, then you go out and you party all night. And sometimes we still do that, but I know how to now go, okay, we did too much, we need to take a break, or we need to slow down, or maybe we'll go out and drink and not get too drunk. And then there are times where we do rage and have a good time and party, and it's just partying. But, again, that's why you go through the process of working on yourself because I'm a work in progress. I haven't perfected anything. I think a lot of people, when you see them go online and say, I healed myself and this and that, then 4 years later they committed suicide. It's like, well, people are afraid to be honest because of judgment, though, because the people watching are going to be in the comments saying, oh, you're this or you're that, when really, your daddy touched you. You ain't dealing with it.
Yeah.
Your husband out fucking a man right now. You ain't dealing with that. Your kids is out selling drugs, but you was a good mom. Shut the fuck up. Just because you buy a Christmas present and their birthdays don't make you a good mom. Everybody got their shit, and everybody sits online and judges everybody else. I don't go online. You'll never see me in somebody's comments, oh, you this, you that, because I'm so busy building my own life. I don't know, and even if your business is my business, it's literally for my business. It's not that I'm that invested. Compartmentalization for me is like if you think about like a box with different sections in it. Everything goes in its section, like spices. Everything has its own little thing, right? But suppressing is when you take something and you just push it down. You
Yeah.
just ignore it. I've done a lot of that too. A lot of people do that. It's normal. Just I don't want to deal with that. And it's not for me. It hasn't been because it's too painful. Like dealing with my mom's death. It wasn't. I mean, it was,
Sad.
it was sad, but it wasn't painful. It was sad, because she didn't get to live out her life and fix the things that she was going through the way that she probably wanted to, or she didn't have the relationship with me that she says she wanted, but because of her mental health issues and the way she behaved, she could never have. So for me, I don't know that I suppressed my relationship with her. I just said, okay, this is what it is, and that's it. Whereas my brother's death, I suppressed for a long time, but then I decided to work through. You know what I mean?
And that's the key word.
Were you close with him?
Oh yeah, very close. I was very close. But then that's also I think why I've had a lot of compassion for Kanye, because I look at Kanye as like the same way I would look at my mom that had her issues, or I look at somebody who offered me opportunity and who, in very personal ways, I felt like is a good person that does a lot of mean things, right? For whatever reason. And you look at them and you're like, I don't want to say feel sorry for them, but you just kind of want to be that support that you believe they need. When a person just shows you time and time again that that's who they are and that's what they choose and that's the type of time they're on, and you just got to accept that that's what it is, and you have to decide whether you with it or not.